When it opened on Valentine's Day 2015, the Music Man Café was serving 3 meals a day. In a plaza the restaurant shared with more than half a dozen businesses on Plainfield Pike in Johnston. Owner Al Sakosha had spent $100,000 to buy and renovate the former clubhouse pub. Everything was going well until Sakosha's wife got a call a few months after the restaurant opened.
She got a call from the councilman saying that if she didn't move the cars that were parked in the street, he was going to call the Department of Business Regulation and have it shut down.
The councilman was Richard J. Delfino III, who represents the district where the Music Man is located.
You can't park on Plainfield Pike, you got to move the cars, and he didn't want the cars out there. But now we're in a plaza. There's 8 other stores here. How do we know? I mean, we don't know whose cars they are.
That started months of friction between the councilman and the Sakoshas, culminating last summer with Delfino urging his fellow council members to pull the restaurant's operating licenses at a meeting Sakosha did not attend. The Rhode Island State Police began an investigation into the case in December, after Sakosha met for nearly 2 hours with several detectives at the Scituate headquarters. The detectives made a follow-up visit to Town Hall last month. On Friday morning, a state police spokeswoman said the department found no evidence of criminal wrongdoing, so the case has been closed. During a wide-ranging interview, Sakosha told us Delfino insisted that cars that were all legally parked were causing problems and needed to be moved, especially on Plainfield Pike, which has an 8-foot wide shoulder lane deemed by the state large enough to safely accommodate parked cars on the busy road.
So for almost a year,
Yes.
you've had no problem?
We've never had a problem. To this day, we've never had a problem.
Did you no, I mean with people parking on the road?
Yeah, nobody's ever said anything. I mean, we've never physically, people have come in and tell us move the cars except for him.
We caught up with Delfino after last month's council meeting.
We make efforts to meet with business owners and have contact with them about neighborly issues. And, you know, I respond to hundreds and hundreds of constituents' requests. And I handle them all the same, professionally, honorably and lawfully, and stick up for my residents because the quality of life of my residents is the top priority.
Delfino defended his recommendation that the council not renew Sakosha's liquor, victualling, and entertainment licenses in June 2017, all of which he had paid for up front for the entire year.
What drew your attention to this particular restaurant? What was the issue?
Calls from neighbors, you know, whether it was parking, whether it was a number of different, you know, complaints, taxes being owed.
So that's all documented in terms of the complaints, or did you get those by phone?
I get sorts of complaints all the time.
But I mean, are there
phone,
complaints documented anywhere?
The people call me, and that's part of the job. You take complaints and complaints or in-person complaints, and you know you handle them all the same way, no matter what.
A Hummel Report review of meeting transcripts during 2016 and 2017 shows that no one from the public complained to the council. Sakosha admits he fell behind on tangible taxes during a year when his wife had a heart attack, he had a stroke, and both of his brothers died. But he cut the town a check for nearly $2,500 to get current. In September of 2016, one of Delfino's opponents in that year's election, Deborah Spar, held a fundraiser at the Music Man.
We had a kid working for us, 18-year-old kid, and he said his mom wanted to have a party here for her family. It was like a little get-together because she was running for council. And, you know, that was basically the downfall.
At the time, you didn't know it, though.
No, you would never think that.
Was there anything personal or political involved in this or not?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't know the gentleman outside of him being an owner, and I don't know of anything political, nor do I care if there was anything political. I'm elected to do a job.
Sakosha repeatedly argued with Delfino, unsuccessfully, that every car he had an issue with was parked legally. So Delfino took another tack, calling on the State Department of Transportation to try and help him in the summer of 2015.
These two guys are DOT inspectors, and I'm having them put up no parking signs in front of your plaza. And I said that you can't do that. You can't have parking from Atwood Avenue all the way up to the corner of our plaza, no parking, and then parking from this corner forward. You can't single us out. And the DOT inspector, I don't know their names, literally put his hands up like this. He goes, "This sounds personal between you two people." And I can tell you right now, it's a white-lined parking lane all the way up. And we're not putting up no parking signs.
We obtained a copy of a letter from the State Traffic Commission that determined the shoulder lane on Plainfield Pike was, quote, sufficient to accommodate a parked vehicle without obstructing traffic. And since parking did not affect, quote, the safety or mobility of the traveling public, the state took no action and parking there remained permissible. Despite that, Secosha tried to work with Delfino.
We basically forbid all our workers from parking out there. So we park on the sides of the building. There's parking on both sides, and there's actually another parking lot in the back.
It came to a head in early 2017 when the owners were summoned to appear before the council. After several contentious exchanges, Delfino recommended a 3-month extension of the licenses, while Secosha was directed to come up with a plan to solve the, quote, parking issues. In May, the Secoshas, sensing trouble, brought a lawyer with them.
At that meeting, when they saw the lawyer, they basically dropped the parking problem and said, you know, parking's been pretty good, you're all set. But we're shut, you owe taxes.
Even though they had been paid in full through July, 6 days before the meeting.
We have a lot of great businesses in the town. We're very fortunate, we're business friendly. But there are rules that have to be followed, like paying your taxes, like following the stipulations of ordinances and stipulations on licenses, which is important because what happens is these things spiral out of control and they continue to fester, and it deteriorates our neighborhoods, and that's not fair to our constituents.
Since the councilman was on record saying parking was not an issue anymore and the taxes were current, Secosha's lawyer told him he didn't have to attend the June meeting, that the renewal would be routine. That turned out to be a critical mistake. Delfino brought up both issues again and made a motion not to renew the licenses, with Secosha not at the meeting. Secosha had to close because of heavy rains after that anyway, and by the time he had the damage fixed, it was too late to fight for the license and try to open. Months later, Secosha ran into Delfino at a coffee shop in Johnston.
He'll give me my license back in October because it was too late for the September meeting. Only if, listen to this one, on a Sunday when we're busy, I have to walk out there and tell people they can't park on the street. I said, put up no parking signs. Well, the town doesn't have the authority to do so. Well, if the town doesn't have the authority to do so, why is it my responsibility to leave my place of business when we're trying to serve customers and make money to pay taxes, to go out there and tell them they have to move? Well, if you don't do that, you're not getting your license back.
And I met with him afterwards to say, here are the steps that we need to take to make this situation better.
How soon after they were pulled did you meet with them?
It was over the summer. I was in contact with him and was happy to meet and sit with him and eventually did and wanted to work with him like I do with everybody else. But these issues go on, and we have so many good businesses. How can you continue to operate and owe taxes? That's not fair to the person, the neighbor sitting next to you, or the business owner, or the small business that may be struggling to survive.
At that point in October, it would have been 4 or 5 months. Well, we've lost a lot of workers. They've all moved on to other jobs. We basically probably lost a lot of customers. We would have to start from scratch again, probably have to change our name. I mean, really, we lost everything.
In Johnston, Jim Hummel for the Hummel Report.